Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. This share is just dear to my heart because the information and the delivery just gives me such a satisfied feeling of accomplishment. I highly recommend watching the entire share, but I have to start this out before I actually have the share coming up after this little segment, because this has been days in the making. I have to share that halfway my computer kept shutting down, and thereby I had to put a fan on it, but you hear me clear. It's just the fan is obviously, very much there as a background noise. So my apology for that. And again, I love your comments. I recommend highly sharing this particular video and watching the whole thing all the way through. And yeah, that's about it. Other than I love you. Peace. Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. No, it has not been 10 days, but the last time I did a share, I think it was 14 days between shares. And I'm right in between massive chores, such as making new soap. I had to package up all the other bars, and it's so crazy. And then juicing, making fresh juices. I've reincorporated that into our everyday sustenance. All that to just, I don't know, talk about a really dead gray whale. He's a sliced up mess. They're doing necropsy, I do believe the word is, on him to figure out what he died from. So it's impossible to tell exactly how much they removed, and from this, looks like this section was just sort of sliced off. He washed ashore off of Portland, Oregon, 50 feet long. He's gigantic. And one of the things that I thank Dana Durnford for pointing out is the look of an emaciated whale versus the look of one who's getting plenty of food. This one right here with this protrusion sticking out and just the slackness of his flesh over his body. And they're not wearing face masks in order to protect themselves from the smell of decaying flesh. I'm not saying he smells sweet, but I'm just saying he's not months old as far as, his corpse. And thereby, this looks like he died of starvation, as opposed to what they're saying it looks like he died from, which is his spine was bashed and not shattered but dented, and thereby they're putting out the assumption that he died because he ran into a very large object. Gray whales are highly intelligent creatures, and ocean-going vessels have been around for a very, very long time. I'm quite certain that if he crashed just willy-nilly into a huge boat, it would have been reported somewhere. Or if he just, crashed into something that just happened to be there, that it's because he was ailing already when he, slammed into it enough that it would fracture his spine. Thereby, I firmly conclude that it is starvation that took this poor creature out. He's not the only one. And in this article here, they say climate change likely playing role in 40% drop in Pacific gray whales. And when they talk about what causes climate change, it's always carbon emissions. But they never, ever, ever, ever mention man-made radiation, even though the IAEA's map that shows all the samples that they took globally, that pinpoints there's an awful lot of radiation contaminating our planet when just one atom inside an organic body causes deadly harm, inevitably. That's not even a guess on my part. They never mention that. And so, no, this is not a one-off deal. This is a 40% drop that they are crediting to things that's supposed to be our little putt-putt cars. But there's been no surge in the amount of cars being driven. Cars, gas emissions have been around for a very long time. That would not go in line with the sudden increase happening all at once. That's science. When you look at common denominators, similar patterns, not when you just bring up your whiteism agenda in hopes everybody is too distracted and taught to be mindless that they don't pay attention to the details. I've entreated you, family, go listen to Kevin Blanche, a couple shares. I know he's very poetical in the way that he discusses things, and he tends, he is the one who came up first and said that Fukushima, when it first exploded, was an extinction level event. There's no doubt that he's done that. I'm just trying to encourage you to get more information from others, so I'm not the complete source of all of this. That's why I put the book list at the end of my last share. I should probably just keep on putting that at the end of each share. But what I'm saying is that Blanche has gone over that this is not a one-time event. Definitely with a 40% drop in the gray whale population, and this was written back in 2022, so the die-off has only gotten worse. All of these creatures were surely not dying from broken spines. I sort of shy away from talking about all the dead species because we haven't significantly taken into account that this planet is ours. Black people's, it's ours. We're the original people of this planet, and the Most High said, ask for it back and he will give it to us back. Every time I say my prayers, well, not every time, because I'm always saying thank you for my meals, but my morning prayer, I am, please give it back to us, please, please, please. And I can see the little ways that that is being accomplished, but Most High does what he needs to do in his own time. We may have to start over from zero in order to know, just like on instinct, when you see little slithering, creepy, crawly things, you just kind of reflex back from them. And I do believe that, I don't know exactly what the solution to all of this is. I'm doing my best to alert us, so we'll share the information that I'm putting forward, and thereby we could take steps, because what radiation causes, the reason why they're starving to death in the first place, all of these different creatures, is because the radiation has killed off the phytoplankton. That is, they're the lungs of our planet. They're the oxygen providers of planet Earth. I do believe they provide 2/3 of our oxygen, and the Pacific Ocean provides 1/3 of our water. You can look it up for yourself in order to clarify, because I could have that backwards, but in the meantime, we need the Pacific Ocean. When stuff comes up and is dying, that's like going to the doctor and finding out that you have lethal blood pressure issues, and us ignoring that is like, well, I'm gonna just go out and get myself the saltiest meal I can find because I don't got it. We and all life on this planet need that ocean to function. And so there are many different symptoms of radiological contamination, and when you ingest it, that's the most lethal. manner to absorb it in, unless you get, you're standing right next to Fukushima when it explodes, and then you just incinerated. But in the many symptoms that it causes are heart attacks. This was Dr. Baxter Montgomery, and I'm highlighting him. And I used to just do a playlist of our young, unnaturally gone young people, something or other. I don't even remember. It was on my old big channel. But I used to cover that every single time. But because we're just like, who needs the Pacific Ocean? The views, even on my large channel, where I had 21,000 subscribers, I do believe, we didn't watch those shares. And I know with the algorithms, the fewer people watch, it drags down everything. And I'm trying to get as many of us to suddenly realize we would be upset if the oxygen ran out, wouldn't we? Okay, well, we got to do something about it now. I was trying to get that crew, which most people, I'm not talking against black people, most people are surface thinkers. Every single nation, every single race of people, and I look for the symptoms of surface thinkers. As I found out, the symptoms of radiological contamination include heart attacks. And the reason why I'm covering Dr. Montgomery is because, forgive the, I don't know why they cut his face off right there, but Dr. Baxter Montgomery, obituary death, celebrated cardiologist and visionary in integrative medicine, passes away. He didn't pass away. He was, in my firm conclusion, dude was murdered by the rampant ignorance. And if he was celebrated like that, then he was just straight up Negro peeing. Working in the medical field, oh my God, he would have been doing all the rotten things. And I'll put the video I did a couple years ago going over, I forgot what hospital it was, but just all the crap that these highly well-educated doctors will peddle to not only their patients, but to themselves, okay? So if he was right on up in there and he was celebrated, he wasn't doing anything that was rocking any whiteism boats. So the monk, and kudos to him. And my respect to him, my condolences to his family, and just, I don't wish any death. What it is, I think I got the video up here, or it's just that when things like this happen, I'm livid. I'm trying to stop this. And that comes through in my voice, in my delivery, when I'm talking about grown folks, especially grown folks who should know better, but you're being held in check by whiteism. And so that you do no further research whatsoever. And if you do, I've seen it in the way that people here in Newark will respond to my warnings, in that they just automatically assume she can't know what she's talking about. Some of them maybe have come and checked out my channel, but then they do nothing more. And I'm just like, yo, I'm a housewife. Hey, you expect me to change the world? Not unless Allah wants it that way. He might just want to scrub the board clean, and hallelujah, because I know there ain't going to be no issues with whiteism in what he has planned. Right? But this dude who was a cardiologist, I got to keep going back. Right? This, what they said about him is just like, is so tragically ironic. The Montgomery Heart and Wellness community mourns the loss of its esteemed founder and CEO, Dr. Baxter Montgomery, who passed away on Saturday, May 24th, 2025. A board-certified cardiologist and cardiac electrophysiologist, Dr. Montgomery was renowned for his pioneering approach to lifestyle-based treatments and integrative cardiovascular care. God damn it, it don't matter. It don't matter if you aren't getting the radiation out. You could be the just healthy. What was the dude, 250 pounds? No, and a lot of people going out, I know you've been noticing, they're not all 250 pounds. Okay? That ingestion of the radiation in a society where the FDA has approved all food from Japan and from especially the Fukushima prefecture. Now, I'm sure, please support your warriors, because this is a hell of a thing to do. I just said a mouthful and I got to re-record it because I didn't hit the record button. But as I was saying, I know that this gargantuan, beautiful beast was not just hanging around Fukushima. As a gray whale, 50-foot long gray whale, no way in hell was he doing that. So consuming radiation, you don't need a whole boatload. If it's broken the food chain, if it has destroyed the lungs of our planet, which is what radiation will do by killing off the phytoplankton. And so when you see the damage that's happened to this poor creature, it's terribly ironic that this brother, I'm using brother, I don't know anything about his personal life, but I'm just saying, does he look like he would be fat? And he's all about healthy lifestyle-based treatments. You can eat as healthy as you are. If you are not factoring in those radioactive isotopes, you can forget it. And they're everywhere. Let's go back on over to the Maris map. That obviously I didn't create this, because you can look at my videos and see they are rather just not crude, but real. Anybody could do this, okay? So this is the Arctic. Everybody wondering about where climate change is coming from. It's coming from this crap up here, because it's hot. It's hot. That's what makes a nuclear bomb so devastating. It's not the machinations inside the bomb, it's the radiation. That's why the trees in California were burning inside out, because they had absorbed the radiation. That's why you got steaming trees going on right now. And nobody is talking about that at all, but I did a whole share about that, where they're absorbing the radioactive tritium water and goodness knows all the other isotopes along with that. Right? And so this is what we're dealing with right here. And the only place where they did just as many samples is off of Japan. And right on over here, they were real thick up on the West Coast too, doing them studies. When you click on any of these little hexagon things here, they will show you what right here is all cesium. That causes heart attacks. So this dude, as educated as he was, and again, I don't know if I didn't record that portion of it, but my condolences to his family, my wish for him to be just accepted into Allah's arms with absolute gratitude for all the work he did, but it wasn't sufficient. If you are not getting the radiation out of your body, it's not sufficient. Oh yeah, I don't think I even mentioned it, but he died of a heart attack. That's pretty daggone ironic. And he happened to be in Houston. I don't know if he was in the 5th Ward specifically, but I had done a share about the 5th Ward and how there is a cancer cluster right there. And they're downstream of a nuclear power plant. But nobody ever tells them. You know, it could be the radiation. Right? I don't know. There's this guy named Yuri Bandashevsky, and he autopsied the corpses from the Chernobyl fallout, and he said that their hearts were mush. And he found that it was the cesium that caused that primarily. It doesn't just cause cancer, but it can, because it's causing chaos inside your organic matter, with no hope of some sort of shut-off unless you know what to consume. And I used to just share all my different remedies, but what I do is intensive. I need your help to get it done. And because our wonderful family, a lot of us, we have, monetary issues, but often it's not the monetary issues, it's simply we're distracted by how many health gurus are up on here. We don't know which ones are telling you the truth, which ones aren't. I'm just telling you. They may be telling you the truth, but if they're not telling you about the radiation, they're not telling you enough of the truth. And so, yes, donate through Patreon. I've never had any issues with Patreon. Or through Cash App. Or because it's hard for us to trust each other. We have been so just MK Ultra, so that anybody who comes before us, no matter how consistent their warnings are, we tend to just kind of go, I don't know, you black like me. Hallelujah for that, right? We should know better by now than to be any shade of Negro-pean. Okay, because they ain't going to tell us all we need to know. So we have products at 25000yearcycle.org that are formulated precisely with intensive levels of the active components. It's just all the active components. We have products to heal you. I have books to inform you, furnace of affliction, healing, radiation, damage to the human body. There's so much information on it that I was like, you know what, I got to put it in a book so that you have access all the time. Because people would come and they would ask me, well, what do I do, Sister Anjali? And I'm just like, okay, here we go again. Let's get back to typing and typing out that whole long list of remedies and protections and chelations. Yeah, you could go look it up for yourself, but you could just go get the book. Save yourself the 10 years it took me to formulate all that and put it all together. I'm just saying, I'm not here to just sell a book. I'm here to save your life. So there's so much going on. I'm just going to scroll through so I can keep this short because it's hot and my computer keeps just, shutting off. Ultra rare harbinger of doom, another oarfish washed up on the Australian beach. Of course, everything is parallel to the dynamics of the radiological contamination. Australia was hammered. I did reports about they had inundations of sea vegetation. Their muir, all the birds are just dropping dead. They've got infestations of all kinds of, I hope I have it up here, but just different contaminants that are no longer being eaten by the creatures that are all dead, all the birds that would have eaten all these little things that are now attacking the clueless beachgoers. So here's another one where there's lots of people in California know the deal, the rich ones especially, and they're getting out. I mean, they're so like, Zuckerberg and his wife, they shut down their whole school. Didn't even tell the parents about it. And they're getting out. Business after business by the hundreds at this point in time. So LA Mayor Karen Bass sparks outrage as elephants are shackled and secretly moved to one of America's worst zoos. Meaning, no, the worst zoo I would say is the one with the most contamination. So they are leaving Los Angeles to go to Oklahoma. Stop. And this one, doctors sound alarm over 1.5 million missing Americans killed by silent epidemic. Stop. This is a lie. Right? This whole thing is a lie. When you see it, I'm trying to say, oh no, but it's happening in China. Nothing's happening in China. I could share little things where, during the May Day festival, the sightseeing places were inundated with Chinese people. If they are now showing videos of empty streets, that's because the economic collapse in China is catastrophic. It's beyond Great Depression level. It's going to starvation level. Even during the Great Depression, Americans weren't starving to death in massive numbers. That's going to happen in China, because in my firm assessment, China's colluding with the whole thing because all nations want to get rid of their common people. They're tired. The rich, satanic elites are tired of dealing with people. Right? And so China, because I talked about Martin Fackler, who was at the Asan plenary session right after Fukushima, and talking with us Asian nations. He was the Tokyo bureau chief of the New York Times. And there he was saying, well, what do you do when you have a major catastrophe? Do you talk about it or do you cover it up? Those were his words. Those were his words. And so China's a part of ASEAN. And there they were. If they were really an enemy of the West, why in the world would they keep it secret when the West has simply gone along with the cover-up? And there was the New York Times. But the entire Western government and media ain't said a damn word about it. So they're all working together because they want to get rid of you and me. Right? And so, yeah, ain't no such thing. I'm just telling you, get ready, because most people didn't get that jab. And as I said, I know this creature didn't get that jab either. And so this is what I was talking about, armies. Oh no, this was another thing. This is them practicing. They're practicing to see how friggin' psychotically depraved they can make their soldiers. That they would just, this was supposed to be a big gag? No, it wasn't. This is them practicing, where they open fire on a crowded Florida beach. As I said, they're stupid as hell, depraved and stupid. And I gotta thank Brother Nias for sharing this article with me. This is blistering. Half the Tree of Life. Ecologists' horror at nature reserves as nature reserves are emptied of insects. This gentleman right here studied insects for decades and decades in Costa Rica, in regions completely free of pesticides. Well, he's got this graphic portrayal right here of what he would do is he would hang a sheet up behind bug lights. And this was back in 1984. It's covered in bugs. And this thing just sort of gradually shows the epic fall off over the time span between 1984 and 2019, where now there's nothing. Bugs don't get human technology. They don't understand what a bed sheet is. They just know, ooh, it's the light. I gotta go towards the light. For them not to be showing up, and I saw the biggest drop off happen around here. He doesn't have this time year by year, but I'm just saying, all man-made radiation sources are deadly. And it's not the jab, it's not the pesticides, because he's in a completely wild region. But the radiation goes everywhere. Just like the Maris map proved, it goes everywhere. So this was the one I was talking about before. Warning to millions of beachgoers over flesh-eating bacteria as victims suffer amputations. This is revving up too. And then with the constant excuses for climate change, climate cancer link. Yeah, they're saying that they notice that with the introduction of this whole phenomena of climate change, cancers have increased. Oh, let me think. Climate change happened and went exponentially up with Fukushima's explosion, and the cancers are going up with the explosion of Fukushima. Could there be a correlation? No, it's a mystery. We're baffled. We're confused. We're liars. And look what they're doing, because they're confused. They will not give up their nuclear, right? Even though Alice Stewart, bless Alice Stewart, because she is the British white woman who figured out that, oh look, when you do x-rays on pregnant women, their fetuses come out either deformed or with all kinds of maladies. We shouldn't do x-rays. And they banned x-rays from all pregnant women, right? They don't want that happening anymore. They don't want any more test bans, okay? Like with Kennedy, and they say Dana Durnford has a theory that Kennedy was really shot because he went along with stopping above ground nuclear testing. Right, well, here we go. Wyoming nuclear developer wants legal protections for private armed security force. I'm not going to read this, but the parameters of what they're allowed are so vast that if you even walk by there, they can shoot you. Whether you're a protester or not, they can just gun you down. They never used to have arms before. This isn't because they're worried about terroristic threats. This is simply because they don't want their fantasy that nuclear is back, right? In their controlled headlines it is. As long as they keep voices telling the truth. And that reminds me to say thank you to Kevin Blanche for sharing this link right here. Okay? As long as they keep the truthful voices squashed and us constantly distracted with BS, then yeah, okay, the nuclear's back, and it never stopped killing everything. And I'm thinking that, they're getting ready because there might be a lot of different white executives who don't want to kill a whole planet. I don't know. I don't have any faith in those dudes whatsoever. But for themselves, they don't care about me. They may not want to kill off their entire family. They're very vain. They like going into their mansions and seeing all the artwork up on the walls. They may not want to think that, you mean nobody's going to be able to come in and envy what I have ever again? Or except for Radical Sister. She doesn't give a two friggin' farts about your stuff. Okay? But for all the other people, yeah, you wiping them out. You freaking, oh my goodness gracious. And I wish nobody any harm. I'm not the violent one. They are. So I think because there's been a slew of these execs who've been gunned down, threatened with being thrown off of cliffs, and just beaten into a coma, like this glamorous exec beaten into a coma at Beanie Baby Tycoon's Montecito Mansion. How did this dude, that's the woman, and I'm sorry that she was beaten like that. Nobody should be just like attacked like that. But this guy, he's not even opening up his eyes. And he's giggling. I don't know if he's giggling or not, but he does not look upset. How did he get into the Tyco Beanie Baby mansion? They say he broke in. I don't believe it. And here's another one. It's like, Texan girl, tragic sudden death. Dr. Yuri Bandashevsky, what are the odds that he also spoke on how Chernobyl caused sudden deaths? His wife even said, and I quoted her in my book, where they're standing, I think I quoted her, they're standing up in the kitchen, they're feeling fine, next thing you know, they just drop down on the floor and they're gone. Doctors sound alarm as paralysis causing Zika virus hits U.S. Don't believe the lies about Zika. Zika, I looked and researched up its origins, its history. It doesn't cause mutations. It never has. Once again, they were looking for ways to hide the radiation. Explosions. A popular Yellowstone, as popular tourist spot, is closed for summer. What? Those are them cores. And this one where the fires are burning over in Canada again. And I saw they had, I don't know if the photo is still there, but yeah, the orange skies again. And here they're warning people, trying to look like they're responsible, but only telling them, it's the chemicals. What chemicals are up in the wild Canadian forest? That's the radiation. Here's a little article that they make it extra difficult to find this type of just confession. And, kudos to the person who wrote this article, because I don't think every single white scientist wants to be the epitome of evil. It winds up being a habitual nature that they don't have on a whole enough courage to face and look inward rather than always just looking outwards and saying, it's the white man's burden because you're the burden. But mercury, radiation radiation is what's turning this sky orange. Pollution from forest fires, emergency alert to Canadians and Americans. This is what I've been talking about all this time, and nobody in the black community whatsoever. I very even rarely hear anything from the white anti-nukers, and kudos, salute to them for what they do. But I'm the one who just like said, yo, this is radiation changing the bandwidth of light for hundreds of miles surrounding the epicenter of these fires. I'll put the link to this article in the description box, but I can't vouchsafe because I haven't read it all the way through yet, because a lot of times scientists will try to find ways to excuse what theirs do. And here's the painful reason Americans are being warned not to eat invasive mussel species. Why in the world are these zebra mussels, that's what they're calling them right here, taking over and proliferating and pushing out just the regular old mussels we remember? Because they're probably more adaptable to the radiation. There are certain creatures that are more able to deal with the contamination. Doesn't mean that we want a planet filled with these predatorial species. No, right? But at the same time, they would be the most contaminated, because mussels clean up radiation. They clean up everything, like better than any known filter that any human being has ever invented. So whatever, even the black mussels, you should not be eating any seafood whatsoever. I'm just saying. Bessie, anybody? And this brother too. There's so many. I can't even speak on it. Alex Foster, who he was only 18, and he's gone. He's gone. No? Ashe, and my condolences. And going back to this young boy here, his name was Brian, and he was only 7 years old. My apology for the difference in sound. The background buzz is my fan, and I'm filming this over a couple days, so right now it's not quite as warm as it was yesterday, but I'm trying to keep things as consistent as possible. I mean, nothing untoward towards the memory of this just delightful looking little boy, Brian, and my condolences to his mother, Mabel, Nana, and he just went to a party. His passing was sudden, unexpected, and left us with more questions than answers. You got to be sharing my content, and my apologies that I'm thoroughly unprofessional. I am really professional. I'm just passionate. I bring the data. I don't bring just my opinion, right? But I went to the people who were more like, whiteism approved professional. They all turned me down. They set up a whole friggin' triangulated operative, just, nullification of who I am. And then the algorithms just suppressed everybody's voices. Everybody's. Right? And so this is what I'm trying to stop. Nobody else right now in the black community globally is doing what I do. It's crazy, right? But awful mystery. As healthy boy, age just 7, collapses and dies after attending friend's birthday party. Wow. Share the video. I love everybody's comments. You can't do what I do, and sometimes I get driven to just talk about what I'm talking about, that I'll forget to thank you. But you can't do what I do and not be a person who loves you. And so share. Go to 25000yearcycle.org and avail yourself of our amazing products. This is the day to be about truth and substance. That's what Dr. She and I are about. And we prove it every single day, because we just get up here and we tell them blistering facts. It's not about who likes us, who doesn't like us. It's about saving you. Okay? All right. Oh, yeah, I had to do this. That's tough. Straight Black Pride is our map to forever. Again, I love you. Peace and blessings. For some strange reason, page number 5 keeps coming up after page number 1, but you get the idea. Go get my book.